Back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. My God, I had a pretty crazy weekend. If you guys did not know, and this is the first time you're watching this channel, so last weekend I went to Charlotte Collectacon. It's the first time I've ever vended. It's the second Collectacon I've actually been to. The first Collectacon I ever went to was Denver. It was a lot of fun, but I wasn't vending. I was kind of just walking around, and then for this one I decided to vend, and it was an amazing weekend. It The way I look at this hobby has changed. My opinions in this hobby have changed. The way I see the future of this hobby has changed. The way I'm going to interact with this hobby from today going to the future has changed. My life has changed doing this Collecticon. It's amazing. I have never been more bullish on Pokemon than I am right now today at the time of recording this video. Uh, Sorry if, it might have taken a couple days. Being gone for 5 days is rough on the family, so as soon as I got back, I did 2 days, nothing but family time. That means I wasn't really doing anything Pokemon. I know I still have to ship out some packages and stuff, but for the last 2 days, all I did was I've been super focused on just family and catching up on all that kind of stuff. But now it's time to get back into Pokemon, and I'm going to go really, really hard at Pokemon in the coming, days, weeks, months, and years. And I'm so excited. So I just go from the beginning to pretty much coming home. So it started off as I went down there on Thursday with Jake from Pokenomics and Nick Old School Pokemon. They both came to my house. They picked me up at 7 a.m. When they pulled into my driveway, I have my one son in my one arm. I have my other son in the car seat in the other, and I'm trying to struggle to get these two kids into my wife's car so she could bring them to daycare, and that's how my day started. And they saw me. Nick's car was absolutely full, so his trunk was full, and I had a big blue rolling suitcase, not anything special, just a big rolling suitcase. So because there was no room in the trunk, I had to put it in the back seat and just seatbelt it in. Pretty much seatbelt it in because it's probably 150 pounds of just plastic and cardboard. So I didn't want anybody slamming on the brakes and just get crushed by it. But I will tell you what, every time we stopped to take a piss or whatever, whether it was at a truck stop or a rest stop, that suitcase was in the back of my mind. I'm like, this suitcase is just sitting upright in the back seat of Nick's car right now. It is the biggest target if anybody wants to go by and just grab that thing. So I was like, okay. As soon as I was always running out. These guys must have been like, why is PK always run to the car? I was super scared. I was like, man, if that suitcase just somebody smashes a window real quick, unlocks the car and drives away with the suitcase, I am screwed. Thank God that didn't happen. But we did a Dunkin' Donuts run in the morning, and then we filled up, and then we ended up only stopping once for lunch in Philadelphia. But the traffic, we picked the worst time to leave. Appreciate Son of a Mewtwo said PK's back. I want you all to put the word out. We're back up. Yeah, we're back up. But yeah, on the way. So those guys left the Boston area around 5 a.m. They got to my area around 7 a.m. That is terrible timing. So we hit New York traffic at 8 a.m. Absolute rush hour morning traffic hit New York. Just 5, 10, 15 miles per hour to get through pretty much all of New York City. And then we were making good time until we got to Richmond, and then we hit Richmond right at 5 p.m. And Richmond is a 2-lane highway city, and it seemed like every single car that was in all of Richmond decided to just be on the road at 5 p.m. So hit that 8 a.m. New York rush hour traffic, 8 p.m. So then finally, or 5 p.m. in Richmond, finally we get to Charlotte late. It's 8:30. Shout out to Zach, Gem Mint Pokemon, and Charlie Herlacker and all those guys. They waited for us to get there to have dinner. So we got in. I took a real quick shower. I'm going to just say it for everybody out there. There's some people out there at these Collectacons. Don't be afraid to take showers. Some people are getting a little ripe by the end of this event. Guys, I was showering twice a day. I recommend all you guys showering a little bit more than maybe you were. But that's neither here nor there, but it was a little funny, I'm not gonna lie. But so I hopped in the shower, I got out of the shower, I just put jeans and a t-shirt on real quick, and then I went to those guys' room, and then we all met up, said hi to everybody. As soon as I walk in, it's Pokemon Radar, and then Zach, Gem, and Pokemon Charlie's there, a bunch of people that I've gotten to know a little bit throughout the hobby. And then they pretty much found a restaurant to go to on Thursday night. And it was like a speakeasy. So the upstairs was more like a kind of like a sports bar. And then on the downstairs was a pretty nice restaurant. Like, I don't know if it was invite only restaurant, but it was definitely like you need a reservation and stuff. And it changes. So from like sports bar to speakeasy, real fine dining in a way. Nice steaks, nice food. And listen, I don't know if this is, I don't think this is a secret, but my man Charlie Herlacher he's on a different plane than the rest of us. He's on a different world than the rest of us. So when we're upstairs, like in the sports bar area, the downstairs was closed. Like the speakeasy part was more or less closed. Like they weren't sitting people. And the dude Charlie just walks up to the two hostesses there with the most baller play I've ever seen. Like, I've seen movies where people do this, but I've never seen it in person. Charlie just walked up to the hostesses and goes, listen, is this we can't do this thing where you can't seat us because it's just impossible? The kitchen's closed, the chef has already gone home for the day? Or is this just a convenience thing where it's inconveniencing to have our table go down there and sit? Because if it's the first thing, fine, we'll just leave if it's just the entire restaurant's closed. But if it's an inconvenience thing, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100. Again, he's talking to the hostesses. He goes, I'll give you 100. I'll give you 100. All you got to do is just sit us. And I'm just watching him like, that's the most fucking baller line I've ever seen anybody do in my life. Where he just tips both hostesses $100 a piece just to sit us. And guess what? We sat down. Like, it was baller. Like, they didn't want us there. They wanted to kick us out. But, like, as soon as you do that, dude, I'm telling you, money just talks. And then next thing we know, we're all downstairs. And, like, the speakeasy thing, though, the waiter was super nice. I thought the food was good. There was just, like, a ton of apps being ordered for the table. Like, I don't even know. If I said there was... This might sound crazy, but there was probably... Let's see, there was... I don't know how many of the... There's probably like 12 or 14 of us. I think it was like either on 7 on each side of the table or 12. But it was like 12 or 14 of us. There was probably 16 appetizers ordered. And Charlie just ordered them all from the table. Charlie's just freaking great dude, man. He's just on a next level. And then I got to meet Bearski then for the first time. Bearski is... If you guys don't know Bearski, he might be in the chat. He might be after the fact. I know he's going to be in the Rattle Discord. He's going to start hopping into like the happy hour chats and stuff. But like that dude has quickly jumped up on my list as like one of my favorite people in the hobby. But that's who was sitting in front of me. And then it's just awesome, man. You talk about everything. Everybody has that common interest. That common interest at that table is Pokemon. And people are doing big things in this hobby. What I think I'm doing in this hobby, I'm going to tell you what. If I left this weekend with just one thought in mind, I was very humbled by like what I'm doing in comparison what these other people are doing. And I'm going to talk about this more later in the video, but I'm going to let you know right now. I don't need to do what some of these guys are doing. I don't need to do $100 million, $10 million in this hobby. I don't need to get to those numbers. But if I can just get quarter of the way there, if I could just get halfway there, my life changes so drastically. And if I took anything out of this event, it was from those type of conversations where I'm like, there's a I want to call it the finish line, because I don't think there's no such thing as a finish line in this hobby. Like, this hobby goes on forever, goes on to perpetuity. It never ends. But there is definitely a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There is definitely a goal to get to, and I'm looking forward to like that path in this hobby. I am super excited to like what I plan to start doing in like I said earlier in this video, the coming days, weeks, months, years. Like, I've already started to write out this like roadmap for myself, and the way I was able to write that roadmap is like talking to these guys, listening to these guys. But anyway, so I ended up getting the scallops. I'm a big seafood guy. The scallops are delicious. A lot of the guys ended up getting the steaks there. I think some of them said like maybe the steaks were a little bit salty. I didn't have that problem with my dinner. But then afterwards we kind of split up. So a couple of us went out to the bar, and then everybody else kind of went back to the hotel. I know some people had to get to Rusty's real early in the morning, and I think it was like 5 or 6 of us ended up going out to the bar. I hadn't been drinking all day because we've been driving. Like, we were in Nick's car, me, Jake, and Nick. There was no drinking. I was like pretty much sober by the time we left there. And then we went out to a bar. It was like an Irish bar. The only thing Irish about that bar was the name. There was nothing else Irish about that bar. It was like a club inside. Super loud, so we all went outside. By the time we got there, it was like maybe like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. It was super late. The bar closes at 2, so we weren't there for very long. So we closed the bar. I think we had like we went a little hard. Thank God we were driving there, because maybe Friday would have been, you know, like screwed up for me, but it wasn't. So we had like 5 drinks in the course of like an hour and a half. We were just like going hard. It was fun though, talking to all those guys and just the same conversations. And then fast forward to now Friday morning. Rusty's house started really early. Everybody went to Rusty's house. We unfortunately weren't able to leave super early to get to Rusty's house because we had to wait for our Collectacon vendor badges, and we weren't able to pick up those vendor badges until 9 a.m. So because we couldn't pick them up till 9 a.m., you know, by the time we left the event, got back to the hotel, got in the car, and drove there, it was already, time flies by fast. It was like 10 o'clock by the time we were able to like get on the road, head to Rusty's. It's about an hour, 15, hour and a half drive. We get there. It's like 11:30. Pull up. I've seen Rusty's house in the past because of like the videos that he's filmed where he bought his wife the truck and stuff. So I kind of like had an understanding of his house, but I've never really seen like a true collection tour. And as soon as you walk in, it's just, dude, it is just different. Like, Rusty has so much stuff. Very well organized, but you don't know what's going to be in each box. Like, and then, so I try to rewind to like the cool stuff that was there. But so when we walked in, everybody was upstairs. So in Rusty's thing, he has like a loft that he built. And when I walked up there, like that's where he keeps his uncut sheets and stuff. And just walking in, and then it was the first time I got to meet Rattle in person. Cyril Lewis, he said, "Howdy, great meeting you in Charlotte. Appreciate the super chat, man. It was great meeting you too." But like when I walked up there, again, it was like a lot of the guys I saw from the night before, but there was one very special person there that I didn't get to see the night before, and that was Mr. Rattle Pokemon himself. Now, you might think that I've met Rattle in the past. I've never met Rattle. Now, the amount of time I've spent talking to Rattle, whether it's through the podcast, whether it's through, you know, the happy hour chats, whether it's through private Discord conversations, stuff like this, I probably talked to Rattle, I don't even know, like 75 to 100 hours in the last year. Like, that is a lot of time when you're just talking to one person, like 100 hours. It's a lot. Just in the podcast alone, it was 14 episodes, averaging between 2 to 3 hours per episode. Like, just the podcast is probably closer to 40 hours than further away, and then you add on all these other things. I've talked to this man for 100 hours. Like, I feel I know Rattle pretty well, but it was the first time I actually got to meet him in person. So I sat down, well, first you can't help but look at the sheets, like Rusty sheets. I don't know how the straight up started like in a weird way, like tearing up looking at the sheets. Like, it was freaking weird. Like, I was like, got like hit with this like crazy emotion just looking at those, because I'm just like, it is like the way I look at certain things, like just the pinnacle, like what Rusty's been able to do. And you look at the sheets, and they're not just the stories of the sheets, not just the stories of the hobby. It's the story of the history of the hobby, but like where you can get to in the hobby, but more importantly, like the journey in the hobby. Like, none of those sheets came all at once. They were acquired over long periods of time, and Rusty hunted down those sheets. Like, there's stories to be told in each one of those sheets. Like, it is legit to the core, to the most definition of Pokemon history. Like, it's so cool to just be up there. And I decided to just sit down right next to the sheets and like kind of just like be next to him. Like, I just felt him. and I sat right next to the disco. Well, I'm bouncing all over the place. But first, I want to just talk about like who was sitting right in front of me. So on the couch was Gem and Pokemon, Rattle Pokemon, and then kind of sitting on the floor next to me was Pokemon Radar. And I'm just looking at the sheets, like the variants, you know, just the fact that he has first edition thick stamp and first edition thin stamp. There's gonna be a 2-3,000 people watch this video when it's all said and done. Those 2-3,000 video people, with the exception of maybe Rusty watching this video, none of those people will ever own one of those sheets, let alone both variants of first edition stamp in thick and thin. Like, it's crazy to be next to that. And then looking at the Disco Hollow sheets, and if you guys have seen, like, they've cut up those Disco Hollows lately, and they've been selling for crazy amounts of money. And I'm sitting next to the sheet, and, you know, Zach Gem and Pokemon put it a great way. He's like, you know that sheet cut up now, it's like $1 million. And I sit there and I look at it, I'm looking at all the Charizards and just all, you know, it's obviously your original 16 base set hollows, and you just look at it and you go, you know what? It's $1 million. This one sheet, at least it's close. And again, maybe not the sheet itself, but like when you cut it up, you start grading these things, and like those Disco Hollows, people, I don't know if they've really shilled them super hard, but they're expensive. It's $1 million worth of cards, and that is just one sheet. It's wild. Like, wild. And that ignores all the other sheets, and that's just sitting there. And then Rusty comes up, and he he didn't come up. They had already opened Evolving Skies God Pack. So Rusty had opened up a bunch of Charizard UPCs, and when he started opening up the Charizard UPCs, for whatever reason, the batching he got of Evolving Skies all were like God Packs. All had great hits, and the guys had already opened their packs, but there was 10 packs waiting for me. So at Charlie's, we ended up so it was 10 packs earlier in the day, and then later in the day, we opened up another 10 packs of God Packs each. In total, it was like 250 God Packs were open. Maybe it was more. Maybe it was like 350. But either way, between the 350 packs of God Packs were open. In those God Packs, there were 6 Moonbreons pulled. Yes, you heard that number correct. 6 Moonbreons. That doesn't include, you know, like the Sylveon VMAX Alt-Arts that were pulled, the Rayquaza VMAX Alt-Art that was pulled. Like, just in Moonbreons, there were 6 Moonbreons pulled out of 250 packs. It took Rattle Pokemon like 2,700 packs to pull 1 Moonbreon. We were all sitting around opening up God Packs, and 6 Moonbreons were pulled. Unluckily, I was not one of those people to pull that Moonbreon, but it doesn't matter. It was still awesome to just be in that room where it was like it was just Moonbreon, Sylveon VMAX, Rayquaza Alt-Art. I mean, Rusty's so freaking generous. It's not even funny. But I won't even get to, like, at the end of the night, like, the generosity Rusty did. But, so that was that. Everybody else kind of, like, went down. Me and Rattle hung out for a little bit there. And then we all ended up going down. And then when we get down, so Rusty has, like, his original house that he bought a long time ago. It's a nice house and everything, and he's got the basketball court there, and like that was the house I was familiar with. And then Rusty bought the house down the road. I know he's mentioned it on lives, but it's just a beautiful house, like 12 acre. This house was not built by Rusty, but it might as well have been built for Rusty. Beautiful house, like, just, I'm so happy for Rusty. Like, all the hard work he's done in this hobby has just paid off so immensely for him. And I'm so it couldn't happen to literally a better person. And the funny thing is Dan and Nick were like, oh, you know, it's a joke because, like, PK always thinks Rusty's so great. And, like, I'm going to tell you right now, this weekend did not help that situation. Like, however much I thought Rusty was a good dude has just been multiplied by infinity. And it's crazy. Like, so good. Rusty's wife's awesome. Like, Rusty's kids are awesome. He's raising his kids right. At the end of the day, when the last thing I said to Rusty and his wife before I left, like, I thanked them for having us there. And I'm going to talk about, like, what stuff we did at Rusty's house. But the last thing I said to Rusty and his wife before I left, I was like, you know, now that I'm a parent, the best compliment I could give anyone, the absolute best compliment, and this is from the bottom of my heart, is to be like, you are a great parent, and the way you're raising your kids is extremely great. And that's exactly what I said to Rusty and his wife on my way out, because I was just like amazed at how, like, they're just amazing parents. Like, their kids are awesome, super well behaved, polite. They're like super funny. It's just like all around like great family. But and it was funny too because now that I have kids, like I kind of watch how people like are interact with their kids too. Rusty had a lot of people over there, a lot of people that he had to entertain and stuff, but he still managed to take the time out of his day to just like go in the goat cart. He was driving the goat cart. He had his one daughter in the passenger seat, and he had his other daughter on the four wheeler. And like he still took the time. It was obviously tough. Like his time was being pulled in a lot of directions. His wife did a great job of like watching the kids, but he still took the time to just like go goat karting and four wheeling with his daughters while everybody was there, and like just freaking awesome. Like, dude, I don't have a bad thing to say about Rusty. Like, just and it's awesome watching this, like to witness this, and it's just like awesome. But anyways, I know Dan went in the four wheeler. Nick Old School Pokemon and Rattle Pokemon, they went in the golf cart. I heard this is now I don't know how true this is, but Nick Old School Pokemon said that maybe Rattle Pokemon was a little scared because he said he was driving a little quick. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how fast they drive, those Canadian folks, but Nick was giving Rattle a little bit of shit. And then so there was like pizza for lunch, and then for dinner they had like a local barbecue joint like near them, super good. Like it was like a pulled pork. It was more like a chopped pork than it was like a pulled pork, and then mac and cheese, grilled chicken. It was just freaking awesome. Like the food for dinner was so good. And then they had like their own. His wife got like a bunch of their homemade barbecue sauces, so you could try those. And so like we ate all that, but the conversations that were being had on like Rusty has this big like L-shaped couch in his living room, and at the time like more or less everybody was able to fit on that couch, and then there was a couple people sitting like he has got like like high chairs, kind of like bar chairs, and some people were kind of sitting around whoever didn't have a seat. The conversations that were being had at that couch, like some of these conversations like I can't even like repeat, but I'm just going to let everyone out there know there is a path in this hobby that if you want to be successful, anyone in this hobby could be successful. Like you can do it. If you take anything from this video, just understand you can be successful. You can do whatever you want in this hobby if you have like the right mindset, if you have the determination, and like if you're smart, if you're able to navigate this hobby, if you're able to see a little bit into the future, have a little bit of that hindsight, and just interact daily, interact at the highest level. It's all possible. And just listening to these guys, it's just some wild conversations were had. Like really, really, really was humbling. Like I said, in a way, like I really left humbled, but I'm happy with all the stuff I'm doing. But I'm just like, man, there is a clear cut path forwards for me if like I want to take advantage of it. Like just super excited. But anyways, so that was the car, and like I said, we went from some of those guys were there more or less like sun up to sunset, and then at the end of the day, we all moved back up to Rusty's collection. And then I had like a little bit of time to kind of like go through, look at some of the boxes. Like he just has like a 2-row box of just like nine tail square cut cards. Like most people don't own one 9-tail square cut. The dude had a whole box of them, and then just there's just so much stuff. Like you can't. I would need a video just kind of like talking through everything that was going through. But then Rusty had like a bunch of the Premier balls. They were from Pokemon Go. They came with the Dragonites in it, but he just had a box of them because he had to have to break it down, because that was, if you remember those Dragonite Premier Pokemon Go balls, like the boxes were super bulky, so it doesn't make sense to ship. So he broke them a bunch down. So I got one of the balls. I started having everybody sign it. So I had my own Premier ball signed by everybody that was there. But then I also decided to grab one and then have everybody sign one for Rusty too as a gift. And when we got there, there was a bunch of like where I don't know if I have it closed. So let me go show you. So Rusty had a bunch of these sitting there, like on one of the tables, and I had seen, Rusty's had these post-ins forever. Like he's had a ton of these sheets in the past, and I was like, oh yeah, I was looking through them, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like I've seen these before and everything. But at the end of the night, Rusty's like, okay, before everybody leaves, like make sure you take a sheet. And I'm like, wait, what, Rusty? Like he gave everybody that came one of those uncut fossil pack art sheets. He grabbed everybody a 151 booster box, like the Japanese booster box. Obviously, there's no English booster box for 151. Grabbed everybody a Japanese one. Handed out another 10 packs of Evolving Skies. So that made it the 10 packs we had earlier upstairs, and then the other 10 for the 20 God packs in total. Like just super giving, like crazy. And then so I forgot to even tell this part of the story. So those guys, when Nick and Jake picked me up, they picked me up at like 7 a.m. I got my PSA submission at 11 a.m. So I literally missed my PSA submission by 4 hours. So I had them have my wife go the FedEx, overnight deliver it. So when I got to Rusty's house on Friday, my package was also getting delivered there on Friday. It cost an extra, instead of just being able to take that package with me, cost $140 to overnight a FedEx package to get it to Rusty's. But when I was there, I was able to open it up. It had like a bunch of cards that I knew were going to be relatively liquid at Collectacon, and I graded 2 of the Charizard Brexen, and sadly they both hit 9s. It was a 65 card order. 55 of the 65 hit 10s. Only 10 of them didn't, and then one of them was like a first edition Ivy Pikachu, which I knew was going to be a super low grade. It's like a super beat up card. But of the 2 Charizards were 2 of the 10 that didn't hit, or 2 of the 10 that didn't hit the PSA 9. They both hit PSA 10s, and I gave Rusty one of the 9s. But my God, I really, really wish it was a 10. Like I wish I could have got him the 10, because I know he does go after the 10s and stuff. It just the way it worked out is the 2 Charizards that were in that submission, they both hit 9s. But I was able to at least, give him one of those cards out of the submission as a thank you. And then, Basic Trainer and Ivy were supposed to be there, but Basic Trainer never ended up making it there. And Basic was going to open up his box. And if you guys haven't heard this story, like at the Leonhardt pop-up shop, this is the first time I met Rusty. Basic Trainer pulled the Charizard on stage at the Leonhardt pop-up shop, and then Rusty was nice enough to, pretty much chase Basic Trainer down after he got off the stage and offer the pay for Basic's grading fee. So there was a lot of drama that happened where at the time PSA said there was going to be no pedigree, but then they ended up putting pedigrees on some of the cards at the Leonhardt pop-up shop. So even though the card was graded by Rusty, got sent to Rusty, Basic Trainer never got to see the grade. So Basic just kept it sealed in the PSA box. Yes, the little teeny PSA box. Basic Trainer had it sealed. He never opened it because Basic in a way was a little upset that some people got that Leonhardt pop-up shop pedigree, but the cards they were bringing were not from the pop-up shop. Some of the packs they brought, they opened. It's a long drawn out story. I made videos on it in the past. I'm not going to get into all the craziness of it, but so we were supposed to open that. I brought my Mewtwo that I had pulled there, and if you guys don't know, when I was at the Leonhardt pop-up shop, I pulled the Mewtwo. It did grade the 9. Ivy pulled the Raichu. It graded the 9. I graded the Mewtwo. It hit a PSA 10, not a 9. And then Ivy graded the Raichu and hit a 9, which was funny because at the event, I wanted to kind of trade my Mewtwo to Ivy for her Raichu, and thank God that didn't happen because I would have traded away a PSA 10 contender to get a PSA 9. But either way, Basic never showed up, so we never got to open that box. But I had the Mewtwo with me. And then, so that pretty much wraps up Rusty's house. And Rusty's house went on for a while. There's definitely way more to talk about that story. Just the conversations. But, obviously a lot of those conversations are private. But I'll tell you what, though. Somebody I did get to talk to for a while I was there was Zach Gem and Pokemon. One of the things that I am so happy about in this hobby is, first of all, I'm happy about I have so many friends in this hobby, but to be able to call Zach a friend in this hobby is such an awesome feeling because Zach's such a good dude. Listen, the way I talk in person is no different than the way I talk on this channel. Just the same way PK has PK rants on my channel, talking to the wall, It's the same way in person. I still have my rants, but the only difference is instead of talking to a camera, at least there's at least somebody's face in front of me. And I was really ranting to Zach, and shout out to Zach. The man has the patience of a god. He was able to just sit through it and listen to some of my rants, but the the insights he brings to this hobby, the way he's able to navigate this hobby, the way he talks about this hobby, the passion he has for this hobby, the way he's able to like just transcend this hobby in a way is super awe inspiring. And like I'm super grateful to be able to call Zach my friend. And he's just, dude, Gem Mint, if you're out there watching this, you're one of the real ones out there in this hobby. But I had a lot of those conversations while I was there, and just, and like, you guys know how I feel about Rusty. You know how I feel about Gem Mint. I had some really good conversations with Radar. I really like John a lot. Obviously, Rattle Pokemon was there. I got to talk to Rattle. I got to talk to Rusty. And I don't even want to start really naming names because I don't want to, like, leave out anyone. But there was just every conversation was as good as the last. Like, there were so many quality conversations. And everybody's just talking, and you have this common bond, right? You have this common interest in mind. And then another thing too is Gary, King Pokemon, was there. And I got to talk to Gary, and I got nothing but respect for Gary. And I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody out there who is interacting with this hobby at a next level, in a way, owes some sort of thanks to Gary. I mean this. We are not, the hobby is not where it is today if it wasn't for guys like Gary, if it wasn't for guys like Birdman, who were creating a hobby out of nothing. Like, these guys made this hobby into what it is today. And getting to talk to Gary, and I get to pick his brain because I know a little bit of like the backstories and just hearing it, and it's funny to hear how the relationships Gary had with like Joe Orlando, the former CEO of PSA, and like kind of like the funny back and forth they would have. Like, Joe Orlando at one point sent Gary King Pokemon like a big sports poster, and Joe Orlando signed it just as like a big, more or less like a meme to Gary, because obviously Gary's Pokemon, so they send him a sports one. But like, he had that relationship with the CEO of PSA because Gary was trying really hard to grow this hobby. And I know everybody thinks it like there was nothing involved to grow this hobby, but truly there was. I don't know how many of the Charizard first editions between Gary and Birdman they've graded out of the 123, but I know it's closer to 75 than further away from 75. So think about that. There's 122 in the pop. My man's graded probably like 75 of them. The highest end of the hobby, most of those cards have traveled through his hand. The sourcing to get those cards, like opening these boxes, in a way we all owe him a thank you. And just to get to talk to Gary about it, and he's got so much knowledge, especially from the history. Now, when it comes to the little nuances in the day-to-day and where this hobby is growing, does Gary really have any impact in that? No, of course not. Like, yeah, Gary's still like a face of the hobby, but he's not really in the nuances. But everything we take for granted, like all the flipping and grading and all this stuff, like a lot of that does have its earlier roots. So it's cool to talk to Gary, and I really enjoy Gary's company. I'm very happy that I got to sit down with Gary and, tell him that. I told Gary it in passing, but on, like, lives and stuff, I never really got to tell it to him in person. Just to be like, you know what, Gary? I know what you did for this hobby. I know when this hobby was dead, you kept it going. I know when prices for a lot of these cards were in the gutter, you helped keep floor prices on some of these cards. The high end of the hobby, though, the Charizard First Edition, when you had your buy prices out there, when you had a buy price of Charizard First Edition at $800, yes, everyone today hears Charizard First Edition at $800 and a PSA 10, and they go, that's nothing. I mean, that's a $200,000 card. But you got to keep in mind, Gary was the only one buying that card for $800. He kept the ceiling of that card. He kept he kept a floor to that card. He didn't allow that card to get below $800. Now, if that card does get below $800, if there is no buying for these Pokemon cards at a time, I don't know where the hobby is today. When you remove all that mid-era buying pressure, by having somebody out there willing to pay $800 for a PSA 10, it still gave people like a little bit of a reason to chase after stuff. Now we look at $800 and you could get a modern card, a Moonbreon sells for greater than $800. Like, the hobby has changed so much, but I think the hobby's in a way worse position if there was no secondary market demand for some of this stuff. And these guys help keep that market for a long time. And I do respect that. And I do see what he did. So I always say thank you to Gary for that. So, anyways, now we leave Rusty's. What did we do on, Friday night? So then we leave Rusty's. And then, so then we went back to the hotel. Again, showered again real quick. Again, everybody that's at Collectacon, take notes. Everybody should be showering, like, after you do any kind of major events. But I did a real quick shower, and then I met up with Catch 'em All Collectibles, met up with Old School Pokemon, and then we went to, like, a local bar where everybody was at. And then at that bar was probably, Rock Sandy, appreciate the super chat real quick. He said, glad you had fun. Are you going to the card party, too? Maybe if Pat Flynn extends the invite, I'd definitely consider it. But yeah, I would definitely be open to it. So Pat Flynn, if you're out there watching this, feel free to slide into my DMs. I'd super appreciate an invite. But anyway, so then we go out to the bar, and there's probably this isn't like everybody that was at Rusty's. This is just like all the other people, bunch of people I've had on this channel before, a bunch of familiar names. Everybody's kind of at this bar. I'd say there's probably like 20-ish people there, but I knew every single one of them there, so it was very cool. And then we had a couple of drinks there. Saturday, the Collectacon was right around the corner. I wasn't drinking a lot. I think I had like 1 or 2 spiked seltzers, nothing crazy. Finally got to see Basic Trainer walk through the door. Got to see Ivy. I'm like, Basic, come on, man. Like, where were you? And then Basic just gives me some BS excuse. I'm like, we really missed you today, Basic. And but then I got to see Basic. So a bunch of them were like, some of us were sitting at the table. I was on a kick. I was just doing PK rant after PK rant. Anybody who sat there, listened to those, I appreciate you guys sitting through my rants, but I was on a crazy high from earlier in the day. I was just cloud 9, like super happy. I was in a very, very good place come Friday night. Come Friday night. I was just in a good place mentally. I was just super happy to be there. It is tough being away from the wife and kids, but I was just super happy. And then, so some of the people were playing darts. They had like a shuffleboard game. They had like a little grass bocce thing. But it was like a lot of nice conversations there. But I didn't want to stay late. I was like, Saturday morning, Collectacon. I'm waking up at 8 a.m., grabbing a quick breakfast, going to the event. So I ended up walking back from the hotel with Josh, the green shiz, his wife. Wife freaking awesome. I'm just going to say this. Every single wife, or at least significant other in this hobby, all stars. Every single one of them. And I've said this from day one. I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to repeat this comment over and over and over again. If you want to be successful in this hobby and you are married, you can, in my opinion now, this is my opinion, you cannot be successful in this hobby if you do not have a supportive significant other. Significant others in this hobby are like vital. They are crucial. They are the glue that holds some of these people together. Like, meaning if you have a significant other that is accepting, you don't have to constantly hide your bank account from them. You don't have to constantly hide your buys from them. When packages are getting delivered to your mailbox, to your door, you don't have to hide them. When everything could just be super transparent, everything could just be out there, a good significant other is like a vital part of this hobby. And all the significant others in this hobby are just rock stars. Like, the Green Shiz's wife, Megan, all-star. Like, rock star. Just super funny, great personality. And I mean this for every single significant other I met. I haven't met one significant other that I, like, dislike. They were all just rock stars. And, you can make I'll give Josh a little shit. Like, you can make the argument, like, Megan's as good as, if not better than Josh. Like, Megan's just great personality. But, got to walk back with Megan. Got to walk back with the Green Shiz. I think maybe Jesse was with us. I don't remember. There's like 4 or 5 of us. Either way, we all walked back to the hotel, and then I went to bed super early. Like, I was refreshed. I was like, okay, didn't drink a lot tonight, didn't drink a lot the night before. I'm all ready to, like, go hard at Collectacon. Collectacon shows up, eat breakfast at 8, walk down. Made the mistake. I put the, like, convention address in my phone. For whatever reason, like, I was just didn't turn it off of, like, the driving directions into the walking direction. So instead of, like, taking me down this one-way street, which would have made it, like, straight up like a beeline right to the event, I ended up, like, taking the driving direction, which probably, like, brought me, I would say, like, 5 or 6 minutes out of the way. Like, it brought me, like, 2 blocks down. So I had to, like, take a bigger loop. Then I didn't do that the next time. But I'll tell you what, carrying a bag with 5 figures and Pokemon cards, a book bag on that weighs 20 pounds, this big suitcase, you can't run. Like, it's scary. I will never walk to a Collectacon again by myself. It was 8:30 in the morning. Like, hopefully, if there's any like shady people out there, hopefully by 8:30 they've called it a night and maybe they're not around. But as I'm walking down the roads, for a quarter mile in front of me, there's nobody in front of me. Quarter mile behind me, there's nobody in front of me. And I'm just walking. And again, it doesn't help that I took the wrong direction. I should have walked down a different street. But pulling, 5K worth of cards all by myself, like, with a suitcase in the middle of Charlotte, which is still a major city, it was scary. Like, in a way, I was sweating a little bit. I'm like, what do I do? Like, somebody pulls over on the side of the road and, like, assaults me, like, hits me or whatever. Like, I can't do anything. I can't even run away. I got this huge suitcase. So that was a little scary. But thank God, nothing happened. Made it to Collectacon. I got there. I had my 2 booths. Started setting up everything. Saturday, sales were awesome. Like, whatever I thought sales were going to be. Like, I kept saying to everybody, it was more or less like a mean comment. Like, I was just going to be there, be like, selling bags. Anybody want bags? Come get, I got your bags. Like, just trying to push cards out, move through a bunch of stuff, which in reality, you're not going to, like, liquidate your table unless you're doing a crazy buyout at, like, 40, 50%. But I moved so many cards. Old maid cards. If there's 2 words that you should leave Collectacon with, 2 words: old maid. I went there with well over 170 cards, and I think just not 170 cards, 170 old maid cards, not just cards, just old maid cards. I brought my entire 70 card submission, then I had about another 100 old maid cards loose. I think I came back with, like, a little less than 60, meaning I moved 110 slabs worth of old maid cards. It was crazy. Everybody there was saying, like, whatever you do, don't put a stack of cards in your booth. Put one at a time. And then when one sells, just replace that. Don't put a whole stack. I put all my stacks to the glass. Every single stack. I didn't care at all. People were coming by, thanking me for selling them old maids. Like, thank you. Oh my God, this is such a cool card. I had some people, like, the weirdest comments people were saying. I had a bunch of glooms. I had a stack of glooms. People were like, oh, you got the gloom. And I'm just like, yeah, I got, like, glooms. And they were just like, oh, I've been looking for this card all day. And I'm just like, you have? I knew these were going to sell, but, like, not the way I thought they were going to sell. And, Jesse was sitting next to me. He goes, I had to keep having Jesse, like, tell people I wasn't lying. Every time somebody would come, I'd be like, dude, I'm selling so many of these. And then the guy selling next to me, I'd be like, can you just tell them? And he was like, he would look at everyone like, dude, he's not lying. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. Like, just crazy. And then there was the guys behind me too, and, like, there was nobody at my table, so I was walking over there, and I was just, like, talking to him. And again, I said to him, I was like, I got 2 words for you: old maids. And they were laughing, right? And then I turn around, and I'm still talking to him, and there's somebody at my table, like, and I see him. They're pointing to the old maid cards, and I go like this to him. I go, watch this. He goes, dude, you were like Babe Ruth calling your shot. I just walked over there, saw they were looking at the old maid cards. He walked right up. Like, he had the watch. He was just mesmerized by it. And then, sure enough, just sold an old maid, and he just stood there, like, dumbfounded, like, dude, it was like Babe Ruth calling his shot. Like, you saw them from across the room. They were looking at your old maid card, and you walked up. And then, like, even Mr. Walrus, Uh, like Mr. Walrus was laughing too. I, I was able to take cash and Venmo, which thank God I took Venmo. I mean, I did a decent amount of transaction just in Venmo. I wanted to do just cash, but I just figured, okay, I'll take Venmo too. Thank God. But some people didn't have cash, some people didn't have Venmo, but it was like Apple Pay or I don't know, Zelle or one of those. Mr. Wallace was able to take for me, and the one card he took in Zelle or whatever was an Old Maid card, and I sat there and I watched Mr. Walrus like get paid for the card because it was just like a Old Maid Eevee, and the guy was telling Mr. Walrus like, "Oh, this is such a cool card. I love the artwork. Like, I'm so happy I got this card. I got it for a real good deal." And I could see Mr. Walrus just kind of standing there, like listening to him, and he's just shaking his head like, "Okay, yeah." And then he looks over at me like after the guy leaves, and he's like, "Honestly, man, like." I didn't believe this was possible. Like, how you're doing this, I have no clue. And he's like, the dude was so happy to get an Old Maid card. I'm like, it's just, they, for total now, for total dollar amount, they didn't add up to a crazy lot. Like, listen, when you sell 110 Old Maid cards and you're making $10 per card, or between $5 to $10 a card, and that's including cost of card, grade, and everything, and when you're selling them for $30, you're making, even more money. So you make it like whatever, $1,000. That's not a lot of money, but the volume and what it got, and it was the same thing with the Old Maid cards, the same thing as the bulk boxes. What the bulk boxes did was and the Old Maid cards, it got people to slow down at your table. And what I mean by that is when you'd have a table, some people kind of just walk right by it. They do like one of these, they just look at it, and then they just keep walking. But when you could get them to slow down at your table, and then especially the bulk boxes, I must have had greater than 100 people touch every card. People just love to rifle through like the $15 bulk box, the $20 bulk, the $20 bulk box and the $25 bulk box. Like I said, 100 people must have touched every single slab. But because that happens, you can slow them down. And then if you're a good salesman, you can stop and ask them just. And same thing with the Old Maid cards. I would do those as bundles, like add them on, And it was nice because you could slow down the progression of everybody. And so when they're looking at that card, then you say, well, what are you looking for? Is there anything you're interested in? And same thing with the bulk box. As they're rifling through the bulk box, okay, they're looking for cheaper stuff. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for, super niche stuff? Are you looking for super modern stuff? Like, what are you looking for? And I want to just rewind real quick, too. Old Maid cards, don't take Old Maid cards as a negative. There is a reason why I graded so many Old Maid cards. One of the reasons why I was one of the very first people after... Keep in mind, shout out to Professor Oak. Professor Oak was the first person to ever grade a Old Maid card. He was the first person to get PSA to accept those for grading. I was very, very early on to that train. I knew when Professor Oak graded those the same way as I knew when he graded Uno cards for the first time. It's because of him that I was able to just latch off of his plays. And in a way, not make them my own, but definitely make them one of my greatest plays I've done. But that was real early, first to market. There's a reason why I did that. We might look at Old Maid cards as, being cheaper, but the reason why I did that is because I like the cards. It's an easy set to complete. 19 cards that grade relatively easy. Like, you could complete... I had all my Old Maid cards for $30 except for the Gengar. Gengar I had for $45. Sold out of all the Gengars. Sold out of all the Eevees. Sold out of all the Charmanders. I think I still have a couple Squirtles, but maybe I sold out of all the Squirtles. I sold out of multiple characters. And again, all these slabs at one point touched the ceiling to the glass. Like, as thick as... I mean, you could stack a decent amount of slabs like in that glass, everyone, and I just sold out. Eevees just on fire. I mean, God, everybody just wanted to buy Eevees. Absolutely crazy. But there's a reason why I did that. I like the card artwork. I think they're cool cards, and I took a big gamble a long time ago thinking other people would like those cards, and that has just paid off time and time and time over and over again. But anyways, so that was like a part of it. It's slowing people down at your table. getting them to just not just zoom past your table and then asking them, be like, well, what are you looking for? And then when they say, what are they looking for? I didn't even start talking about consignments. Man, there was a lot that went on in this Collectacon. But you get to ask them, like, what are you looking for? And then you could kind of like try to sell them something similar. Maybe if you don't have the exact card they're looking at, you might have something similar. If they're looking for like a certain card, maybe you don't have that card, but you have that character, you know? So I was able to do that. Like, I sold out of the Gengars real early, but I still had a Sabrina's Gengar. I still had a reverse hollow Gengar from Expedition. So sold out of both of those cards because I was able to segue conversations into, well, maybe I don't have a, old maid, but I still do have this reverse hollow Expedition Gengar, and then that sold first. And then the Sabrina's Gengar sold second because there was just a lot of species collectors that I found. And then, so then consignments too. Consignments ended up doing really well. I think the first consignment card I sold was a Moonbryon in a PSA 10. We had it stickered for $1,000. Somebody came by the table. He was first he was at Jesse's table, and then Jesse sent him over, and he's like, "Oh yeah, PK's got a Moonbryon there. It's one of the consignees cards." And he walks over, and he's like, "How much you want for it?" I was like, $1,000. And he goes, "Oh, I don't know." I go, "Well, I could do $950." And then, kind of like that back and forth. And then I said, okay, $925. And then the consigner had let me know that the lowest he's willing to take was $900. And then he's like, I'll come back. I said, listen. I said, don't bother coming back. I said, we could just do $900 right now. And $900 was my floor. Like, I couldn't go any higher because I knew for a fact that there were other Moonbryons on the other end of the, shout out to Dan Catchmall Collectibles. I think he either had his Moonbryon stickered for $900, but at least I knew he was willing to take $900 for his. So I just, if Dan's in the chat, I just could not let this dude make it to that corner of the room because somebody's not going to make it to Dan and see Dan's for $900 and then go, okay, well, I'm going to go back to this other table of this dude that I don't know who I'd be lucky if I even find his table and then go buy his for $900 instead of this one. I just couldn't let him leave. So ended up selling for $900. I didn't even make my consignee pay the full 10% because it sold. It was like the second card or third card I sold that day, so it just happened so fast. I only took a $50 consignment fee where I could have took $90 because it was 10% sold for $900. I only took $50 and gave him $850 because it was still a better deal for me. But consignments went okay. I definitely figured out what I did wrong with consignments. Like, it's tough with consignments because you could, like, if you're not, you can price your cards competitively, but at a convention they have to be really competitive. And the other thing too is I couldn't bundle any cards. Like, normally when you would be selling at an event, somebody would come up and they'd be like, well, I want these 3 cards, what's the best you can do? And if they're doing 3 cards, they're going to get a way better deal than if they just bought 1 card, right? But the problem is when it's a consignee's card and when some of the consigners' cards, like, the least I could take was maybe $10 less because that's all the consigner said. Like, maybe they had a $100 card and they said, the lowest I'm willing to take is $90. So now when I'm negotiating with that card in mind, I can only drop $10. So maybe it's just tougher, the deal. So that was one thing I learned about consignments, that it made that play a little bit harder. So then I would have to potentially drop my cards a little bit lower, still keep the consigner's card a little bit higher. And so maybe now I'm taking a less percentage on my card where it would have been spread out a little bit differently if my other card was not the consignee. That's one thing I took from that. But the consignments, I think, went relatively well. Relatively well. I sold like a T17 Neogen Typhlosion. Sold that Moonbryon. I sold like a Charizard from Generations from like the premium collection boxes. You got the Pikachu, the Blastoise, the Charizard. Somebody had 2 of those. There, I would say I sold maybe like 11 consignment cards. So the consignment cards didn't pay exactly for the table, but it definitely helped pay for both of them. Like, it got me pretty darn close to break even on just the tables through consignments. I would say I probably did. At least it definitely paid for 1 table. I'd say I definitely did over $400 just in consignments, which was great. And it's super easy to pay these guys out too when they come by. Now, let's talk about consignments. So, all right. Oh, well, we're going to talk about another thing too. But consignments. Real early in the event, Rusty, TCA Gaming comes by, and he's just got this giant, giant box of packs. So if you guys remember, Rusty had his. It wasn't like a mystery lot, but it was just like a random assortment of packs. So 12 packs he would sell on his eBay. Buy it now. He's had like, God, I would say thousands of sales for those packs. He's had that listing up there for literally years, and then for whatever reason, eBay had removed that listing. And the crazy thing is, Rusty had his eBay rep help him create that listing. So why they removed it, I don't know. Maybe because it was like a mystery bundle. But either way, Rusty comes by with this box. And so they're the 12 pack lots. I think it was like I got to look at the numbers, but it was like 140 of those bundles were in there, or 150. So it was a lot. Heavy. So heavy. So, like, when I was there, I just put like the bundle in the, but you have to like explain the bundle to people. So I was able to sell a handful of them, but not a lot at the actual event. And then Rusty was walking around and he grabbed a VMAX Climax box, so like a sealed case. I still have it over here because he brought it over. He's like, "Hey PK, can I put this behind your table?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." First of all, I had no clue how expensive VMAX Climax sealed cases are nowadays. I don't know Japanese market at all. I thought those were still like $60 booster boxes. Way off. Like way off by like $110 off. They're like $170. It's super expensive. But I think I don't know if he wants to talk, but he, whatever. He bought that case. It was like expensive. It was in the thousands of dollars, and he put it behind my table. And like the event just kept going on, and I never really saw Rusty again till eventually, like, I was packing up to leave. One, I knew I was going to have like the big box of packs, whatever, super heavy. But then I also had the case of VMAX Climax. And I'm pretty sure Rusty just forgot he left that behind my table. Like, just totally forgot. And so then I was like, obviously, I'm not going to leave it there or anything. It's a multiple $1,000 case. So I brought the packs back. I brought the case back. I had to, like, take the box and... Because I only had one hand. That box is heavy. Like, you got to pick it up with two hands. You maybe need, like, a third person. That box weighed... I don't even know how Rusty brought it over. That thing was so heavy. It was super heavy. So I was able to take the box, put it on top of the big luggage that I had that was on wheels. That luggage, it was struggling. But I was at least enough where I could still push it and more or less use it as a dolly with the big box on it. But then I also had the case on it. I had like probably 200 pounds. Maybe not 200. I mean, it's up there. You guys probably do the math of however much all those packs weigh. But it was heavy. And I still had to walk back to the hotel, and I was, like, the whole time I'm pushing, I'm like, this is really, really hard. Thank God. Like, there's just solid people in this community. Like, Jesse was next to me. He helped me bring it back the first day. And then all the Rattle Discord guys helped me bring it back the second day. But it was heavy. But anyways, so then it was heavy. But, I mean, it was still a consignment, so Rusty helped out a lot. So... I mean, I didn't really take a consignment fee from Rusty. I more or less, like, I took, like, whatever, a couple bucks, but I didn't take my consignment fee from Rusty. Put it that way. Rusty got a lot of money for those. And so then later in the night, we get to the hotel. They have the trade night. It's sponsored by Ketchum Collectibles. No, not Dan Ketchum Collectibles. Like, another Ketchum Collectibles, I guess. There's not a lot of original names in this hobby. Like, when I saw it, it's like a big billboard. It's like Ketchum Collectibles Trade Night. And I'm like, is Dan putting on a trade night? And everybody's like, no, they just have the same name. I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. But they had the trade night there, and I just brought the box down. I was like, all Rusty's packs. I'm like, I gotta get rid of these. I can't bring them. All I was thinking in my head was, I can't bring this huge box back to Collectacon in the morning as heavy it is today. So luckily, shout out to like Pokey Surge. Pokey Surge bought, I think, like 32 of those bundles. A bunch of random people like who were just at the trade night. One thing nice about selling packs at a trade night, bunch of D-gens. Same way I'm a D-gen. We're all D-gens. A lot of people were there buying packs, so that really helped to like loosen a lot of the weight. You know, we probably sold, I don't know, maybe less than that. Maybe, so between Surge and the event, we probably sold like 35 to 40 of them between the first day, and then like I really pushed them hard the second day, and then by the second day we pushed them all, and then Nick Old School Pokemon ended up buying the remaining 96 of those packs. So, but I still brought them back for him. I was still like handling all the movement of them, but yeah, at Collectacon it definitely helped to get rid of those. It, when I say definitely, like it super helped. But man, it was so heavy. Like I don't even know how they're related to you guys. That box was so heavy. But a lot of people manned up. And then so Saturday night at the trade night, I know some of the guys went out to dinner. I didn't want to go out to dinner because I was standing on my feet all day. I'm gonna tell you what, like the only thing bad about that Collecticon is I really wish I went there with somebody. Like I feel like I would have to go there with maybe my wife. The only problem is go there with your wife and help you vend. I still got my kids at home. It would be like logistically impossible. But and then you can't really have somebody come with you and kind of pay them, because I figure if you pay them, like you're probably paying flights, hotels, maybe like a per diem for them for food, and then you're gonna pay them hourly to sit there. Like you don't really, I wouldn't make money doing that, you know, because at that point you could be talking $1,000 out of pocket to just bring somebody with me to vend. So I was doing all the vending myself, and it gets tough. Like you don't want to really leave your table, you know. Shout out the Rattle Pokemon and all the Rattle Discord guys. Like every time Rattle would walk by my table, I was like, all right, now that Rattle's here, I could go take a, go pee in the bathroom. So I'd go run, and you don't want to leave these guys at your table too long. So because I was vending, I never got a chance to walk around. That's the only bad thing about vending. And then when these guys were sitting behind my table, like you always feel a little guilty too to have these guys there. But the sales were great on the first day. Saturday, just killed it. Sunday comes around. I know a lot of the people got there Sunday super late. Well, first let's talk about the trade night on Saturday. So before we get to Sunday, after the whole event, I don't know why, I was just craving something like super greasy. So I just wanted like a cheeseburger and french fries. And the bar had cheeseburger and french fries. So we went there and had those and just hung out with Rattle and all those Discord guys. Like Ferguson was there. Just Jedi Master. I'm not going to start naming names. Joe was there. I'm not going to, like, there's a bunch of people. I don't want to leave anybody out. But all those people were there, and we were just like shooting the shit. That's when that Pokey Skin Flute guy, he came by, he took a photo with Rattle. If you look at that selfie he took, it's like his dumb face, Rattle's handsome face in the background, and then on the side you can see my arm. So I got my little 2 minutes of fame having my arm in the photo. It was funny because people were like, "Oh, PK, we were gonna all tag your arm in that photo," but that dude is super weird. I don't know. He's a weird dude, but like so that was like the little drama that happened there, and then later Sunday night Rattle ended up doing like an entire recorded video with him. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch that video, go on the Rattle's YouTube page. There's like a whole live of that. Or maybe not a live, but like a whole interview where they're just talking about like, altering cards, taking off names, the way he was like, him and his friends manipulated the artist in order to make that artist believe that they were their friends. The artist said, please don't sell these cards. They were like, we're not going to sell them. They ended up selling. Like, that dude's super sketch. Rattle called him out on it. That dude does not like Rattle. He acts super childish. It came off really poorly by him. But, it was like the only drama. I think Josh was like standing in the middle too. But it was like the only drama that happened at that trade night. All the rest went super good. I honestly didn't even go into like the trade night room. I walked through there really at the end of the night, like super late. But by that point, like everybody had already left. Like all the lights were on at the bar. So, but it was good. Good hanging out with Rattle. Good hanging out with all those Rattle Discord guys. Every one of those guys, freaking all-stars. Like not a single bad guy in the group. Just really not a single bad person in our community. When I say our community, I'm talking about like this YouTube channel, the other channel. There are bad people in this hobby. There was a couple people at the trade night on the second night, which I'll get into, that are like kind of sketchy people. And it goes into like the PK resales and stuff. And like, it was like a litmus test. And I'll get into this later. I want to talk about Sunday first. But, so anyway, Sunday happens. 11 a.m. I only have one sale by... Well, first I had to bring all this stuff to the event. Super hard again. 11 a.m. only had one sale by 11. So, as good as Saturday was in the morning, like Saturday, there was a line of people waiting to get in, ton of sales first thing in the morning, just hucking stuff. By 11 a.m., I only had one sale. And a guess. If you're guessing that one sale was an Old Maid card, you are correct. And then after 11 a.m., then the sales started to pick up. And then Sunday ended up being okay during the day. I was a little disappointed. I was like, man, Saturday, for as good as Saturday was, Sunday was just so bad. And then, like, come 4:30, I had done a decent amount of sales by that point between that 11 and 4:30. Like, the sales really picked up. Probably did like a couple $1,000s worth of sales, but nothing like Saturday was. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to wrap up. Like, seems like the table's dying. I don't know if I was like in a weird spot or whatever. Just there was other areas of the convention that seemed a little more traffic than mine. And I don't know. I feel like maybe everyone says that, but I definitely felt like that because there was a while there's just nobody even like walking in front of my table. Like I just had this like weird dead zone. But I was like, oh, I'll start wrapping up, and I didn't. Thank God I didn't, because come 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, that was when all the other vendors were wrapping up. And then between 4:30 and 6 p.m. when I left, it was just as good as Saturday. Like, the sales that I did, like, huge sales. Like, I would say on, like, a low end, I would do, like, $300 to a person. On the high end, it was, like, 1,000. It was just, like, in an hour and a half timeline, it was just, boom, hit. Like, even Basic Trainer and Ivy came by. I think they bought a little over $500 combined between the two of them. Like, and that was getting really, really late. I want to say Basic and Ivy were like the last sales I did. Ivy's got her new store. Shout out to Ivy. Hopefully you guys could visit her store down in Las Vegas. She's doing like her old card store, so she came. She was picking up some inventory. I was really moving some stuff to her, really on the cheap, giving her that good friend deal. But like that was the last sale, and right before that there was like a few more just like that. Thank God. Thank God that came, because I feel like if that didn't happen, Sunday would have been like a wash. Like it wouldn't have felt good. So Saturday ended up being fantastic. Sunday morning, terrible. Sunday, midday, okay. Sunday, last hour and a half, totally, like, reinvigorated me. Like, I was so happy. I'm so happy I didn't pack up. If I packed up Sunday when I wanted to at, like, 4 o'clock and just throwing in the towel and saying, hey, this isn't really worth it, I'm not making the sales I thought I was going to. If I did that, I would have left Collectacon with such a different like thought process behind it. Thank God I didn't. Ended up selling like, I don't even know. I gotta do it. I'm gonna tell you, I know my faults. I'm really, really bad at doing inventory. So I really need to like do a better inventory next time. Keep better track of like what I was selling. I did a fantastic job of keeping track of my consignees sales, because I was so worried about like one of my consigners cards walking off or maybe misplacing them. I was like super paranoid about that. Luckily that never happened. I was able to keep like really good track, and I did. Each consigner had its own color label. So like all my labels were white. One of the consigners was pink. One of them was gold. One of them was green. One of them was blue. So like I was able to keep all the consigners by color, and then every time I would sell one of their cards, and anytime they would walk by the table, I was just trying to pay these guys out as fast as possible. Like, nobody really waited. Maybe like one or two consignees waited to the end of the event to get paid out, but everyone else, it was like as fast as I saw them, it was like boom. Another thing, Basic Trainer consigned his Pony Chew with me. Had it right in the center of the case. You know, we priced it high. We priced it at $7,000. Listen, there's a reason why you price that card at $7,000, because it's a different card. I would say the number one most photographed card in this entire hobby is Logan Paul's Illustrator Pikachu. I would say is maybe the number one photographed card in the hobby. The second most photographed in the card in the hobby is probably the Pony Chew. I had people walking by. Everybody had their phone out, snapping photos of the case. People asking to see the card, taking photos of it outside of the case. People holding the card in their hand, giving me their cell phone so I could take a photo with them holding the card. Pony Chew, easily. I mean, that card was great too, because everyone kept stopping and asking, because they're like, why is this card $7,000? So it was able to slow down like everybody moving through my booth, which was great. I think honestly that might have been the secret. It's just getting people to come to your booth and finding a reason to talk to them. And once I was able to talk to them, like talk to them about the Pony Chew, and it's the same thing with the bulk slab boxes, same thing with the old maid cards. Just being able to have a conversation with them and then finding what are they looking for. I'll tell you what, things I found people are looking for. A lot of people like Gengars. Gengar was probably the card or the character I heard most people like. Then people would want like super niche stuff, or people would just want like super modern stuff. It was a little different. Like, I didn't really have a great feel like what people wanted. And then the other thing that worked out super well is my bulk box. Like, the weird thing about my bulk box is you would get some people would come like do like one bulk card, whether it's from the $20 box, $25 box, but then you would have other people would come and they would go through the bulk box and I would watch them and they would just be like taking one card out, keep going through another one until eventually they had like a stack of these bulk $20, $25 cards, and then they would just say, okay, I'll take this whole stack. So like, where I was struggling maybe sometimes selling one to people, other people were just coming by and buying 8 of them or 10 of them. It was very weird. I don't know if those people were resellers or what, but it felt good selling 10 bulk slabs to people. And especially when, it was $200 or, $250 for the $25. It felt really good to get rid of those bulk. And the thing was, I had so many of those bulk slabs, whenever the box would get a little full, you want to leave a little room so people could rifle through them. But as soon as a bunch sold, I would just go take another stack and like kept refilling this, like the big magazine box I had. So that was a lot of fun. And then Sunday night. First of all, I just want to say, if there's a guy out there, his name is Matt. He works at the Capitol Grill. So, randomly on Saturday, somebody came up to me with just like a tan envelope. And was like, hey, PK, I'm a big fan of the channel. I just wanted to give you something. I was like, oh, thanks, And I just thought like maybe it was a card. Maybe it was just something like, a little like something a fan made. And I was like, oh, that's super nice of you, man. You didn't have to get me anything. I put it in my back pocket. I don't think anything of it. Like, throughout the whole event, it's just sitting in my back pocket because I'm busy selling cards. Saturday night, when I got back to the hotel and, like, took everything out of my pockets, I had this envelope in there. And it's a $100 gift card to Capitol Grill. And the guy, Matt, put in his business card. And then he also put in this cook card. I think this is from Fusion. 264 cards. So, yeah, it's from Fusion Strike. And Matthew, if you're out there watching this, man, first of all, dude, thank you so much for the gift card. But you gotta slide into my DMs now. You gotta sign this card for me, man. You can't just give me $100 gift card. You can't give me a cook card and then not sign it. And the dude Matthew was super, 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 like generous. It was, I got a gift card of, I think Nick Old School Pokemon got a gift card. Like, he gave $100 gift cards to like a lot of content creators, which totally unexpected. Definitely didn't have to do it, dude. Catch 'em All Collector said Chef. Is that his name on YouTube? Is it Chef? But either way, dude, you got to reach out to me. Give me your address. You got to send me one of these cards signed. Like, super nice of you. So all of us ended up going to the Capitol Grill in Charlotte. Didn't realize it at the time, but he doesn't work at that Capitol Grill. I guess it's like a high-end chain. He worked at the one in like a different part of North Carolina. He didn't work at the Charlotte one. So we all went there. We were like hoping to see him and stuff, but that's okay. So we all sat down. Oh, Chef 954 said, "This is me." Okay. He said, "Hello, you're welcome. And I want to find the full art cook card and sign it." Oh, okay, man. Well, dude, I definitely want a signed card from you because that you made some crazy memories for us. So now I'll talk about Sunday night. So Sunday night, it was 16 of us going to the Capitol Grill. We called the Capitol Grill. We're like, hey, can we show up with 16 people? So they gave us they have their own private dining room area with 2 big sliding doors. But because there were 16 of us, we did 8 people at one table and then 8 people on the other table. But it was like a big group. We must have looked, the people, I mean, this is a high-class restaurant. Like, everybody walking in there, very well-dressed, and then here comes a bunch of us D-Gen Pokemon people. Jeans, t-shirts. I want to say some people might have had gym shorts on. Like, totally didn't. I mean, I didn't know how, classy the Capitol Grill was. So just a bunch of D-Gens walk in there. And then I'm sure the waitress just saw us all walk in and they were just like, what have we gotten ourselves into? Like, there's no way that these guys have money. And next thing you know, like, the amount of money that table spent, we were getting soups. I got the, what is it, sliced filet mignon, and then I added a South African lobster tail to it. South African lobster tail was like super good, so I had the filet mignon with the lobster tail. So I want to say it was Nick Old School Pokemon and Mr. Walrus. They split a lobster mac and cheese, which I was happy just getting the clam chowder, and then Bearski was sitting in front of me. Bearski got the steak. There was so many steaks eaten at that. It was pretty much just a steak restaurant. Like, they didn't have a huge menu, very limited like selection, but that's fine. I love a good steak, and my steak was freaking wild good. It was so good. So I had the clam chowder, but I tried a spoonful of their lobster mac and cheese. This lobster mac and cheese was so good. Like, it was wild. And then so I had the filet mignon with the South African lobster tail, which was delicious. And then for dessert, I got it was called a decaffeinated chocolate cake thing. And then Mr. Walrus and Nick Old School Pokemon, they got the cheesecake. And then because it was kind of just like our section of 4 people, so we split the 2 desserts. The cheesecake they have there. The cheesecake was so good. The restaurant was just so good. So, Chef 954, man, I really, really appreciate you hooking us up, man. But, yeah, dude. It was, dude, you were way, way too generous. And definitely reach out to me. I want to send you something, too. If you could shoot me a message on Instagram, I want to send you just like a little thank you. Because you really helped make a lot of our night really good. But then at the end, so our table, just between all these Pokemon G-Gens, we spent so much money, and we all obviously are good tippers. I left 20%. I'm sure most other people left 20%. And I'm sure the waitress, and we were all making the joke when we left, the waitress must have just been, when we all left, just standing there, what was this? All these guys came in, spent a ton of money on food. When I'm saying apps, big dinner, multiple desserts, multiple drinks, leaving 20% tips. The waitress for all our tables must have been like, who are these people? Where did they come from? Because it literally looked like these guys could have went to McDonald's for dinner, because that's how they were dressed. It was super wild. But it was a great time again. Super good conversations. Like I said, super good group of people, man. A lot of money was spent that night, but it was still a lot of fun. And then after that, we went back to the hotel lobby. So this is Sunday night. We went back to the hotel lobby, and then that's when I want to meet up with all the Rattle Pokemon Discord guys, all the people that are in the happy hour chat. I really like that group of people so much. There's not a bad person in that whole group. So went there. I think I went and I brought the box of the Rusty's box of packs down again, because I think I want this. Did I bring it? I don't know. Maybe I left it up. I don't remember. Either way, I ended up selling the rest to Nick, or at least, Nick bought the rest of them from Rusty. But I feel like I brought that box down at the end of the night. But either way, that was when Rattle did his one-on-one interview with the Pokey Skin Flute guy, and then I was just kind of walking around. But now this is when I brought all my PK resale packs. So this is actually not really drama-y, but it's kind of a fun part. So if you guys don't know, the resale packs I did, every pack had a banger in it. I was charging $12 a pack. Most people, by the end of the night, I was trying to get rid of them, was selling them for $10. And then at the end of the night, I just handed out all the resale packs to people. I'm just going to say this was a litmus test. The reason why is every person there who I thought was not a scammer, they could not wait to get their hands on one of these packs. So anybody I thought was doing Pokemon legit, was not reselling, was not doing anything shady, every single one of them wanted one of these packs because they want to feel it, they want to smell it, and smelling it might sound stupid, but you got to keep in mind, like, when people were reselling like shadowless blisters, one of the ways you can tell a resealed shadowless blister is because they smelt like cookies, because the glue that they were using glue sticks, because you can't use super glue, because if you use super glue it's too crunchy, so you have to use a glue stick, and the glue sticks they were using were cooking glue sticks, and because they were cooking glue sticks they kind of smelt, they had like a little bit of a cookie smell to it, and like that's like a real thing, like to tell some resales it you actually want to smell. So people were touching them, playing with the foil, smelling them, doing everything you would try to do to identify reseals. Rattle was like messing with the crimp, seeing if he could push them in, like seeing all the possibility. That's everyone I thought didn't resale packs. Couldn't wait to get their hands on them. There was a lot of whatnot breakers in this room. Every single whatnot breaker I walked up to and was like, "Hey guys, want to see what a good resale looks like?" These guys made a scene, some of them. Like, they were legit making a scene. Like, it's crazy. And at the end, I was just like, the only reason you wouldn't want to touch a resale is because you're probably reselling packs yourself. Like, it was crazy to watch. It was a great test for all these people. They all, but that was like the only kind of, I wouldn't even call it really drama that I got into. Like, it was just funny listening to these people because they were all like making a big deal about it. And it's kind of funny. It's like, it's funny that all the people I don't think are reselling are fine with grabbing these. But anybody that I think is reselling, there was a couple whatnotters there, a couple or pack openers that I was like, I think these guys are doing shady shit. They wouldn't touch it to save their life. It's pretty wild. But, yeah. So, that was that. And then, so that's Sunday night. So then Monday, we had a late checkout. So late checkout, I think. So checkout's like 11 o'clock. We all met down in the lobby at 10. Then just back into the car, super long drive. I think we left at 10. I got back home at like 11 p.m. So like a 12, 13-hour drive. It was a long drive. Ironically, the drive up was easier than the drive down. One, I don't think because we didn't hit a lot of traffic, but number two, I think you are so excited to go down to the event, to like see everyone, to experience the event, to do the selling and everything. And for me, it was kind of in a way the opposite. Like, on the way home, I just could not wait to get back home to my wife and my kids. Like, I really, really miss my wife. I really, really miss my kids. Like, it was super hard to be away from them. That's why when I came back on Monday, I haven't done this recap. This is now Thursday. All day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. I just got to spend time with them. Like, missed them a super lot. Like, I try to be a really good dad, and it was hard to be away from them. So, I don't know if I could, like, keep doing these where, like, I'm away from my wife and kids all the time. When my kids are older, though, I definitely would like to include them in all this. And one of the things I talked about with Jake and Dan, or Jake, not Jake and Dan, Jake and Nick on the way back up is talking about my kid. I'm like, I can't wait till, like, my kid could experience this hobby. There's two timelines I'm looking forward to. The first timeline I'm looking forward to is, like, between 7 and 11, like, when he's getting into Pokemon and he just loves the cards for the cards. He loves to open packs. That's the first part I'm looking at. And then the next timeline I'm looking at is when they hit, like, 15 to 20. And I could set my kids up so they will never be able to, like, do Pokemon full time, but, like, when they're in college and stuff, like, I could give them, 10 or 20, in the future it's probably be more, so like $10,000 or $20,000 worth of seed money, and like show them how to make money in cards. Like, here's a way for you to make a little bit of income while you're in college, just like flipping and grading cards. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to do what some of the people in this chat, some of the people in this hobby are doing, but you can just do things like, because I do believe the hobby will be there. Maybe the hobby won't be there like it is today. Maybe it will be bigger. Maybe it'll be smaller. I don't know. But it will be there in some form. And there will be money to be made in this hobby. And if I could teach them to, like, make money in that. I mean, shout out to Colson. I'm sure Colson's watching this real time or after the fact. Colson's in college doing this more or less as a part-time job, and he's doing pretty nice. Like, I feel like my kid can do that. So that's the second timeline that I'm looking forward to. But, yeah. I'm sure I'm missing some little nuances here and there of the trip, but that was my Collectacon recap. And it took me an hour and 24 minutes to do a Collectacon recap. Guys, it was fun. That's all I can say. It was. Oh, I should mention too, I just was scrolling up. I see Fitz is in there. Fitz was nice enough. So, Sunday morning, Fitz gave me a ride to the event, which was super nice. So for whatever reason, I can't scroll all the way up to like catch the beginning of the chat. So I just got to go to where I am. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit in the chat, and then that's it. So real quick, son of a Mewtwo, appreciate the super chat. Jade Rabbit says, "Get your kids to stand in line to get a Rattle autograph and wipe it off and sell the card." Sell the card challenge. Yeah, that would be good. Get Rattle to sign a card and then I just wipe it off. Say, Rattle, your signature is worthless. Rattle would love that. Pokekid, good to see you, Pokekid. Pokekid was actually the consignee that sold the Moonbryon, so that was pretty cool. I think I was talking when like some people were having a little bit of a funky smell. Mr. Waller says, "It's gross. You can walk by people and taste them." I wish that wasn't true, but there's like a little shred of truth to that. Eric Drinks Water said, "Try not to lick anyone." Mr. Waller is, yeah. Yeah, so number one mod in the game. Good to see you, man. Drew, you were definitely missed. So, Drew, I know we got Collectacon in Orlando next year, and then also Card Party in June. So, I don't know if I'll be to either one. Maybe I'll be the both of them. Not really sure. But Drew, you're probably like, I'd say you may be like number one on the list of people that I need to still meet in this hobby. Let's see. People are saying hit the like button. Yeah, guys, if you could hit the like button, I appreciate that. Chavals, you were definitely missed too. You would have been down there with a fellow Canadian. You and Rattle could have spoke French to each other. What are you doing? Jade Rabbit says, "Get to 50K in sales next year, PK." For me to get the 50K in sales would be it would take a lot. It would take a lot of just capital investment. I honestly, 50K is not, or sorry, I keep saying 50K. He wrote 500K. 50K is definitely very doable. 500K is what he wrote. And 500K is not doable. 50K is very doable. Let's see. So Aaron said, "Welcome back, BK. Hope all is well." All is well. I am so like rejuvenated, so reinvigorated about this hobby. Like I want to tackle this hobby like head on. One thing I'll tell you, if you've ever noticed, I've never talked about Pokemon as being a business for me. Pokemon is always a hobby, and I've always been very careful to never call it a business. And I do think like maybe I should start going after a little bit more as a business. Start to like look at the things that I'm, I don't know. It's a lot. So I see Bearski Collects in here. Bearski, it was awesome meeting you, man. You are quickly coming up the ladder on one of my favorite people in this hobby. You are, dude, just awesome, dude. Bearski, you will be on this channel guaranteed for a one-on-one. That is one of the things I'm going to strive to do going into the future, too, is like try to highlight people that I think are true net positives for this hobby. And Bearski Collects, you are definitely a net positive for this hobby, man. You are a great dude. Let's see. Jade Rabbit said Rusty's house made you shed a tear because of the amount of history in there. In a way, it did, yeah. It's crazy. It's like a culmination of, you could see all the hard work that Rusty's put into his business and what he's done, and it's awe-inspiring in a way. Like, can there ever be another Rusty in this hobby? Like, can somebody ever reach like what he's done? Maybe from like a business sense, I could say like that's definitely possible. But like, can anybody ever do it from like a person point of view? Like, I just don't see it. Like, there could only ever be one Rusty. And I was talking to some of the pillars in the hobby, and one of the best ways to, if you were going to have 100 people in this in a room, like the 100 biggest pillars of this hobby, if you ask the pillars of the hobby, who is a pillar of this hobby, that's who they're going to say. Like, that's perspective for you. If you got the biggest pillars and you ask them, who's the pillar? There's one name that always comes up. So I think that alone says enough. Um, People are trolling a little bit in the chat. Sarah Rio says, was there anything that shocked you about Rattle, like something cool? Rattle is way taller than I thought. Oh, real quick. I want you guys just to know this. If you look at the thumbnail of this video, there's a photo of all of us at Rusty's house. Rusty did the greatest troll ever. So Rusty, during the photo, like right before it was taken, he's like, okay, everybody... Sorry. He goes, everybody, real quick, bend down so we make Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles look super tall. So if you look in the photo, Rusty's just like, Rusty's a pretty tall dude, but he like, you can't see his legs behind the couch. He's like super squatting down. So Rusty's super trolling Dan. So Dan looks crazy, crazy tall compared to Rusty because he's like squatting down behind the couch. And no one else did it. It was just Rusty. It's super funny though. Uh, uh, so yeah, but go back, look at the photo. You'll see Rusty looks super small, but he's not that small. He just squatted down because he was standing next to Dan. Uh, 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 Mr. Mr. Wallace says PK met me day one, and on day two, he still hasn't mentioned me. I thought we had a moment. Shake my head. Mr. Wallace, you're a great dude, man. Let's see. Eric Drinks Water says, Mr. Wallace, he mentioned you earlier when he was talking about the showers. Oh, you guys are too funny. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Maxwell says, gotta have a big house for all the Pokemon cards. Rusty literally built a house around, not a house, but like built an entire shop around his cards. Eric Drinks Water said, typical PK, avoiding my question about trade-up challenges. What was your question? I didn't even see it. Skater Nesto, you were missed in Charlotte. Let's see. Eric Drinks Water says, isn't it kind of cringe how PK doesn't have a 10-foot tall 3D printed PSA 10 Raichu? You are correct. That is cringe. I do need a 10-foot tall Raichu. I did pick up 2 Raichus during the event. On the drive up. I picked up a Shadowless 8, which is super, super clean. I think I will have to show it out. It's a definite crack and resubmit. There was like some actual stuff on the card, like you can see it. Like whoever submitted the card needed to just wipe it off. I think it has a real strong possibility as a 9. Listen, to try to get a Shadowless Raichu and a 10, that's a long shot. But it's super clean. Let's see. See, Drew's dropping the link to the eBay. I delisted a lot of my stuff on my eBay, or if I didn't delist it, I just jumped everything up to like super high dollar amounts so people wouldn't buy it, so I could go back and do an inventory. And then, like I said, the last 2 days I haven't done anything Pokemon related. So let's see. Pokemon Collector said, wow, Rusty really is a great human being. He is probably the best. Like, it's crazy. Skater Nesto says, we need spicy PK. He's way too happy, yeah. I'm on a high from this weekend. Like, it's great. Let's see. Jade Rabbit says, that much knowledge in one spot in the hobby must have been an amazing time. Yeah. Like I said, it's humbling, but you see it. Like, you can see how much people really love this hobby. Like, in a way, like, a lot of these guys are curators of this hobby too, you know? And I mean that. Like, they curate the hobby. They save the history. They care about stuff. Like, They're going after the stuff nobody else is going at. They have the hindsight. They care about this hobby on such a high level. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. I don't know how they explain it. You got to kind of be there. Eric drinks water said, did everyone in the chat drink enough water today? That is everybody's reminder out there to drink some water. Again, I got back to the Roxanne super chat. Appreciate the super chat, man. Kevin Clare says, when your wife goes to FedEx to send your PSA sub, yeah. $140 to overnight it. And I just missed it by 4 hours. And PSA could have just sent that submission a day earlier, a week earlier, and I could have just, well, whatever. What are you going to do? It was worth it. The cards that were in that submission that sold like hotcakes were Gengar Mimikyu, Chinese cards, and PSA 10. Super easy to grade, super cheap card, $15 to grade it. Again, that stack, I had it up to the glass. I had Snorlax and Eevee up to the glass. Everyone says only put one card of each. I put the whole stack, and I sold like most of the stacks on each of them. So it was definitely worth it for her to send that package, 100%. I just wish I was able to pocket that extra $140 it costs to ship it. But it was definitely worth it to have those shipped down there. Catch 'em All Collectible says PK was living his best life. Old maid stacks running deep. They were running really deep. It's just so weird what people wanted. And then I had people come up to me later in the event and go, "You're the old maid guy." I swear to God. I'm not making that. I swear to God, that was a real comment. They're like, "Oh, you're the old maid guy." Yeah, somebody was saying somebody was here with a bunch of old maid cards. And in my head, I'm just like, what a world we live in. You know? Like, what a world. What a great... I mean, this hobby is so strong. I'm going to tell you right now. A lot of the stuff I sold at event was stuff I didn't bring... Keeping this in mind. This is very important to keep. I didn't have a single card at this Collectacon that was a personal collection piece. Every single card that was at my table was for sale, meaning I wanted to sell that card. I didn't sell all those cards. That's pretty unlikely that you're going to get a total buyout. I definitely wasn't going to take 40% on these cards in order to do the buyout. If I wanted to do 40%, probably could have got all of these. That's not what I'm going to do. But to hear to watch what people are buying, to hear how people talk about cards, this hobby still has a long ways to go. We are in the niches. You're watching an hour and 37-minute long live about somebody talking about one person's experience at a Collectacon. You're in it, trust me. The average person, they're not in it. They're not this deep down the rabbit hole. They just like stuff because they like stuff, and this hobby has a huge, huge room to grow. Like, huge. I did bring one of Alvin... I didn't even talk about this. I'm all over the place. But I did bring one of Alvin Sky's booster box. But because I had so many consignment cards, my cases were totally full on the first day. On the second day, a lot of the consignments didn't get there until midday. But then by midday, they were all full again. I had a Alvin Sky's booster box there. I had it priced for $425. Because of the consignments, I had to take it out of the case. I just kind of threw it in my suitcase. And then I still kept like a blue painter's tape on it that said Evolving Skies booster box $425, but nobody asked about it. Come second day, I put it out there probably around 2 o'clock, changed the price from $425 to $400, and that Evolving Skies booster box, boom, just like that, snap sold. So I at least got to sell an Evolving Skies booster box for $400, which was pretty nice. Let's see. Nap90 says, respect to Gloom. It's Gloom. That was like the weird card. Like, that was the biggest surprise for the event for me. Just the people that were like, you got the Gloom. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me, I guess. You want one? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. Eric Drinks Water says, PK confirmed used car salesman. I am not a used car salesman, but I am an old maid card salesman. Get it? Old maid card? Card, not cars? Nah. We'll worry about that another day. Mr. Walrus says, I just saw it firsthand. Mr. Walrus says, it's hard to print off of old maid cards and not be bullish in the hobby. It's damn near impossible to print selling old made cards and not be bullish. I am super bullish. I know exactly what to bring. When I went to my first Collectacon in Denver, I sat at Nick Old School Pokemon's table, helped him sell some stuff. I thought I had a pulse of what was needed. Now, I know. I know. And it's just awesome. Chef95, so I finally got to where you commented for the first time. You said, PK, just wanted to thank you for your hospitality in Charlotte. My daughter loves that Rapidash Capital Chef. Thank God. I forgot about that. So this is perfect. I don't feel bad anymore. I feel bad because it was super generous, but now I don't feel bad anymore. So I didn't know that was you. Okay, so the guy who handed me the Capital Grill gift card for $100, when he was there, he also told me that his daughter was a big fan of Rapidash, and because Chef was so nice to me, and he was a fan of the channel, he was like one of the first people that came up to my booth. I hadn't even made a sale yet at that event, and I just opened up my booth, and I had a PSA 9 Holo Rapidash from Fire Red Leaf Green. Fire Red Leaf Green, awesome set. The holo pattern for regular holos and Fire Red Leaf Green is awesome. Rapidash, beautiful card from that set. PSA 9, pretty strong grade. It's not a 10, but still a 9. And I just took it out because he was so nice. And again, I had to even open up the gift card that he gave me. But because he was so nice to me, I pulled out the Rapidash and I was like, hey man, I appreciate you watching the channel. Do me a favor. Give this to your daughter. I did do that. That makes me feel a lot better. I feel like now I'm not just a shitty person for accepting a $100 gift card. I did give him, but again, I didn't know this gift card was in there, but that makes me feel better. And I'm so happy that your daughter liked that Rapidash, and especially that Rapidash being from Fire Red Leaf Green, being a great card. I forgot, yes, so I am very happy that I did that then. And especially for you, and especially for your daughter. You definitely deserved it. She definitely deserved it, man. So, Kristen's Art Cave says, hey, PK, I'm the one who bought that PSA 9 Charizard and that Ditto slab from you. Love the Ditto. Love old maid cards. I'm telling you, the reason I graded all these old maid cards is because I like the artwork. It's a fun set to collect. And I took a huge gamble on it. And that's the thing. I always talk about this. Pokemon is, we try to overcomplicate it. When you take fan favorite Pokemon, you give them good artwork and you put it on a card, people are going to want to buy them. And the fact that you like that Ditto, I like that Ditto. There's a reason I did all these old maid cards. The only thing is there's so many of them now. Did I have a partial responsibility for that? Yes. But there's a reason why people still want them. They look really, really good. And Kristen's Art Cave, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Everybody give Kristen Art Cave a follow on Instagram too. I know she's doing a lot of original Pokemon artwork and stuff. We talked a little bit. I know she's got a new YouTube channel. Or not YouTube channel. She's got an Instagram account. But she's got some pretty good artworks on there. I recommend you guys all checking that out. Eric Drinks Water says, PK using a sob story to sell packs. Classic Facebook seller. Now Eric Drinks Water. I'm a used car salesman. I'm a Facebook seller. What else am I? Mr. Waller says Pogs knowledge. He forgot. I also bought a I bought a Pogs collection. Sweet Pogs collection. Where? Hold on. I don't know. So anyways, let me give you the Pog story. So at one of the Collectacon events, somebody walks by. They got a huge binder of Pogs. Like binders in with like sleeves and all these individual Pogs in it. It was like their childhood binder. And they're like, I'm trying to sell this for $5. And I'm like, I'll buy your Pog collection for $5. It had all the sleeves were folded. It had the Pog play mat that goes in it. It had like the slammers that went in it. $5. Like done. And then I just proceeded to like sell Pogs at the trade night. So I was like, people were like, oh, I like this Pog. I was like, okay, give me $1. So I'd sell like one of the Pogs for $1 after I bought this whole binder for $5. I'm like, dude, why did you sell this? He's like, I just didn't want to like bring it back home. And I was like, okay. So now I got this huge Pog binder. So where they say Pog Knowledge. So I told everybody, instead of PK being Poke Knowledge, I'm just keeping the same name. It's still going to be PK, but it's now Pog Knowledge. So Pog Knowledge. But yeah, if you know, this is what I should say. Does everybody watching this video, do you guys even all know what Pogs are? Or are we just so old that people don't even know what Pogs are anymore? But yeah, that was fun. That actually was a lot of fun. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Hi PK, Richard here. Just wanted to say meeting you was the highlight. Thank you for all you do for the hobby. So, Richard, talk about good dads in this hobby. So, Richard came up to me with his son. Richard, great dude, great dad. He's got a Ash Ketchum Pokemon hat on. His son had a Mario hat on. Richard, I'm gonna let you know right now, bud. You are raising your kid correct. Like, you can see how excited Richard is about the hobby. You can see that he's sharing this passion with his kid. Great job, man. I was very impressed with you. The way you were like, you had your kid around you. The way you were trying to like help him with the hobby. And then I actually sold one of those rusty bundles, the 12 packs, I sold to Richard and his kid because, it's like, go open some packs. Like, that's what, we're a bunch of degens. We open packs like crazy, but let's not fool yourself. When you're a kid, the best experience isn't a graded card and a PSA slab. When you're a little kid, it's fun to open packs. And to open packs with your dad and to be able to share those memories with your dad is an awesome experience. So Richard went home with one of those packs, and out of one of the Chinese packs, I don't know which pack. I think there was Pokemon Go, there was Scarlet and Violet base, and then I want to say like, what was the third pack? Was it like Clayburst? But either way, one of his Japanese packs, he pulled the SR, which is pretty wild because, an SR is only one per box. So the fact that one of his Japanese packs had SR in it is pretty awesome. But no, Richard, man, you're doing a great job, my friend. Great job. And the memories you're sharing with your kid today, your kid will hold on to those forever. And then, maybe fast forward 15, 20 years from now, when your kid's watching long form Pokemon content for an hour and 46 minutes, he'll look back and he'll have those memories like, why is Pokemon special to him? And it's going to be because of the memories he made with you. So, Christian's Art Cave says, I got my picture holding the Ponychu. A lot of people have I'm telling you, the Ponychu is easily the second most photographed card in the entire hobby. Basic Trainer said, I told PK to charge $5 per selfie. I'm finding out about selfies now. Oh, Basic. I can't charge people. You want everyone to know about the Ponychu, my friend. Let's see. Chef 9954 says, hey, appreciate you guys so much. This is what the community is all about. Yeah, man. He said, I'm going to make an Instagram just for you guys. Yeah, man. Make an Instagram. Make a Discord. I'm telling everybody. Rattle Discord. Tomorrow night, Saturday. I will be in the Discord. I won't be in the Discord till later. It starts at like 6 or 7 p.m., but it usually runs till like midnight. The same time that I could hop on a live will be the same time that I hop into the Discord. So probably like between 9 and 10 p.m. Put your name out there, guys. This hobby I'm a geologist. We're gonna talk some rocks real quick. This hobby's like the Earth. You think of the Earth, you think of the Earth's crust. The crust is only 9 miles thick. It is very small. And then you got the outer mantle, the inner mantle, and then all the way till you get to the core, till you get to that inner core. The crust is nothing. A lot of people are just on the crust. They don't realize how massive like this hobby is. They're just scratching that absolute surface. But because they're living on the crust and they're so blinded, they don't realize how big the rest of the world actually is. How big this hobby actually is. Like, because the way they view it is just so minuscule in comparison to the actual bigger picture. So I recommend to everybody out there, like, explore this hobby, grow in this hobby, make this hobby better for you. And I think everybody out there will be amazed at like how awesome this journey can truly be. And I'm very happy with where my journey is right now. And you know, the best part of this journey isn't just no journey you should go alone. Like to do a journey, you want to do it with people. You don't want to do stuff alone. Doing stuff alone is not fun. And this group, this hobby, the people in this hobby, these people are the best, man. All right. Appreciate you guys though. I really do. I am so bullish on this hobby, like next level bullish. And I'm going to be going harder. I'm going to be doing YouTube a lot harder. I'm going to be making conscious efforts to highlight the people that I believe are the net positives in this hobby, bringing those people on this channel, telling people stories who maybe don't have the biggest collection, don't have like the largest footprint. You know, exploring these people, letting people tell their stories, because this hobby is a lot of things, but one of it is it's a collection of, yes, it's a collection of cards, but it's also a collection of stories. And every person's story is unique. And every person's story, in my opinion, should be told. And the beautiful thing is, you know, I plan to live for the next 70 years. So maybe that's a stretch, maybe 60 years. But at least a lot of those next 60, 70 years of my life, like, if part of my journey in life is just highlighting people and, you know, showing their stories to people and helping share people's experiences and love of this hobby, like, I think that's a pretty good life. I'd be pretty happy with that. Let's see. Jumble Fits again, man. Appreciate you giving me a ride. Yeah, I also let Fitz sit behind the table once in a while. I'll tell you what. Those Collectacons with the concrete floors are not forgiven, man. They are not. Mr. Walrus says, I'll die saying I've had your resealed packs. So I know people are talking about a #1 mod coming to Orlando, Collectacon, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I jumped to the bottom. Let's see. Oh, I kept jumping to the bottom. Sorry. So Fresh Tot says, PK, did you pick up anything in a CGC to break free to a PSA slab? I picked up a unlimited Raichu and CGC 9 that will be set free. Free like a bird. Fly. Christian's Arcade says, PK, remember you told me you didn't believe I watched the stream because I'm a girl. Well, I'm here, I am. Well, I didn't really quite mean it like that. I was surprised you had watched so many videos. I have very crazy analytics on this video. For some reason, like, it doesn't show that any females watch this. So that was cool though. You're an awesome person. I had a lot of fun talking to you. Jumbo Fit says, PK, what's your most memorable sale of the event? Ooh, most memorable sale. So probably my most memorable sale was I had my bulk box, the $20 box, $25 box, and there was a group of Japanese people there. They were all speaking Japanese. They did speak English, but they were only talking to each other in Japanese, and they were taking out all the junk slabs, and one of the guys had like a pretty decent stack of junk slabs. I'd say like between $150 and $200 worth of junk slabs, and he pulled them out, and he was showing them to one of the people, and one of the people was just like, you could just tell he was yelling at him why you shouldn't buy these, how like they're dumb buys, and then like they're arguing back and forth in Japanese right in front of my table. The one guy's like, I clearly could tell he wanted to buy them, and the other guy was clearly telling him like they were junk slabs, don't spend your money on it, until eventually the guy who really wanted them ended up getting them. And I was very, very happy to sell them, $200 worth of junk slabs. But that was probably my most memorable sale, just watching these two like bicker back and forth. And I had no clue the actual words they were saying, but that overall tone of that argument, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Number one mod in the game. Great advice, says everyone out there. Like, subscribe. So, Hacksack said, PSA dude show up. If not, honestly, Nat Turner was there. I didn't even know. I never got a chance to go to the PSA booth. That is the only problem about vending by yourself. Noisier PXE said, what percentage you think your sales were due to knowing you versus randos? Let me see if I'm reading that correct. What percent do you think your sales was due to knowing you versus randos? Oh, so like what percent of the sales were people just walking up to my booth and buying a card maybe because they knew me? I don't know. I'm sure there was some of that definitely went on where people just kind of knew me and they wanted to maybe buy a card for me to support, but I couldn't tell you what percentage that was. Blasty, Blasty, Blasty. I see you in the chat, Blasty. You were missed. Blasty, I did give Rattle your signed energy card, so make sure Rattle gives that to you next time he sees you. Chef954 says, yeah, man, he's talking about the Rapidash. He goes, yeah, that was awesome, man, and you didn't even know what I gave you either. Yeah, I'm just happy. I'm happy it worked out for both of us, but I need you to sign that Cook card, though. I'll give you my P.O. box, man, or next time I see you. Let's see. Thrifty TCG said the Pogs. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I was instead of Poke Knowledge, I was Pog Knowledge for a little bit. Dude, the Pogs were so much fun. I gotta find that binder. I'll have to put some of the Pogs up there. He had some like super expensive Pogs. Listen, you guys might not know this, but after that night, I'm a big Pog expert. I know the old Pogs. I know the I can't even talk this in a straight face. But either way, I'm a big Pog guy now. DeGreen says it was Gengar Den with the Pogs. LOL. No, yes, you're correct. It was Gengar's Den. Now it's PK's Pogs. Everyone's saying Thrifty's now a Pog flipper too. Mr. Waller says, I wanted to buy a Pog so bad, but my urge to not support PK was stronger. Appreciate you, Mr. Walrus. Flip Flap says, if I was at Collectacon, I would love to get a signed card from PK. Well, Flip Flap, if you want a signed card, really, slide into my Instagram DMs. I will send you out a signed card. No problem. Let's see. Mr. Waller said, PK signed a sealed MetaZoo box. I did sign a sealed MetaZoo box. And I did two of the... Okay. So this was the Premier Ball that I had signed at Rusty's. And then I got a regular Pokeball from everybody else that was at the event. So if you can see it, there's a lot of good names on there. Let's see if I could find... Did Mr. Walrus, did you sign this? The only problem with this was I did it after the fact. I wish I brought this with me to the actual event. I didn't have everybody sign this till the trade nights afterwards. And there was a lot of people walking by, checking out the table that I wish I had all those people sign it. But, Mr. Walrus, did you sign this? You must have. You didn't do something crazy like sign your government. Oh, yes, there we go. You see that? Mr. Walrus. Oh, Mr. Walrus right there. Right at the top. But, no, I'm very happy. So the cool thing about these Pokeballs and the Premier Balls, so now that I have one, I could do one for every event. So for Charlotte, it was Pokeball. Next one we could do, Great Ball, Master Ball, Premier Ball. Oh, I did a Premier Ball, but Lure Ball, Love Ball. I could do all the different balls. So that will be fun going into the future. So every event, like whatever, maybe the next event I go to, like I said, is that Master Ball or that Great Ball, that Ultra Ball. It will be very cool to have one Pokeball from each event. And if you're going to start it for an event, you got to go with the regular, just OG, regular Pokeball. And then because this Premier Ball is from that Dragonite collection box from Pokemon Go, it is so much bigger, so it kind of does get to stand alone on its own, so that's pretty cool. Very cool, though. But yeah, so I got Pokemon Radar on here. So this is the one from Rusty's house. It's got Pokemon Radar, Rattle, Ruxin34, Nick Old School Pokemon, Jake Pokenomics, Card Secret. I don't even know what that signature says. I got Rusty's signature. Charlie's on there. Gary King Pokemon. Sam. Sam was a good dude too. I'm definitely gonna say so. Sam's. I don't want to spoil anything, but Sam's gonna be coming on the channel in the future too for a one-on-one. I think next weekend we have that planned. Let's see. Rattle Pokemon says, "What type of rocks are they? Put it in Japanese booster boxes. Not the good type." Kevin Clare said, "Price on Ponychew should be 6,969. Oh my God, you are correct. Basic Trainer, we dropped the ball. Why did we price it at 7,000? It should have been 6,969. Kevin Clare, you are correct. I messed up. Damn it. But listen, I'm going to tell you at this point, I think that Ponychew is going to sell one day for $7,000. It might sound crazy. I think it's going to sell for 7,000. The open offers that are on that card are super high right now. Let's see. Let's jump into the bottom of the chat all the time. Let's see. Chef 954 says, "I want to be the official chef of this hobby." LOL, you guys know where to find me. Yes, you are now the official chef of this hobby. Hands down. He said he's been a chef for 21 years, 10 years just with Capital Grill. That means you could cook a banging steak, that's for sure. Yeah, so Pokey Snipe says, "Hey PK, I'm glad you're freed of walking around with that box of Rusty packs. I'm currently in physical therapy because of it." Yeah, so I didn't even mention how awesome Pokey Snipes is. So I got a lot to say about Pokey Snipes. So first of all, on Sunday, he was the one that helped me carry that box back to the hotel because my luggage just, I don't think it was going to make it anymore. So Pokey Snipes is active military, in super good shape. He carried that box of packs like an absolute champ. And then at the hotel bar, Pokey Snipes was on. He always had like the White Claws on deck. He was. So when it comes to the trade nights, when it came to the drinks, Pokey Snipes was definitely the MVP, and he's such a fun person to talk to too. Pokey Snipes just got an awesome personality. Like, I didn't see him like upset once. Super happy, super joyful dude. Super fun to be around. Definitely has moved up on my list. And yeah, I didn't even talk about diapers. So at the very beginning of the event, Pokey Snipes came up to me, brought me diapers too for my son, which I brought home, and my wife was super appreciative too. Like there's so much stuff that happened at this event. Like I'm not even like keeping track of everything. But yeah, the first thing he did was he walked up to me and he's like, "Do you know what I have for you?" And I was like, "I have no clue what you're talking about." And he's like, "Oh, we talked about it." I was like, I don't remember. And then he pulled out the diapers, and I'm like, "Yes," because we were in the Rattle Discord one time, and he was like, "Oh, I got all these extra diapers, man, if you want any." And I was like, "No, you don't got to give me diapers." And he's like, "Next time I see you, I'm going to give them." But the fact that he remembered me enough to bring those diapers, it means a lot. Like, there's so many good people in this hobby. He's one of the real good ones, too, but it's wild. Let's see. So the arcade said, "Were you there for the great Rattle versus Ultimate Pokeflute debate?" I was kind of in the background watching it, but I just wanted Rattle to do his whole thing, or do his own thing. I knew Rattle had that conversation locked down. That Pokeskin Flute guy, he didn't really come out looking really good at the end, but he just, that's what happens. You're going to alter cards, man. You're going to alter cards. You're going to lie to the artist. You're going to tell the artist you're not going to sell the cards. You're not trying to make money. And then you do it. And then you pretty much say, well, it's the artist's fault for not knowing. It's like, that's not a really great way to navigate this hobby, man. not a real great way to put your name out there and have people like want to surround themselves with you and have people want to continue to do business with you in the hobby. Probably not the best course of action, but whatever, you can do what he wants. Now everybody's bullish on Pogs. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, so Pokey Snipes, he pulled what's the flipper it's like a is it flipper? What's the new Pokemon? It's like the dolphin Pokemon card. It's in a bunch of it's this card. Oh, I can't believe I actually had it. So this card, Fizzin. So he pulled this Pokey Snipes pulled this card in reverse holo. So I took my marker and I crossed out this. I wrote flipper, and then I signed the card. Super troll thing, but it's actually kind of cool. He loved it. But I know Pokey Snipes, good dude, man. Let's see. So Pokey Hoarder says we all need signed PK energy cards. Dude, if you want a signed PK card, trust me, stamps might as well be free in this hobby. I will sign you an energy card and I'll ship it to you. No problem. Just hit me up on Instagram. Feel free. And I will definitely make sure anybody who wants a signed card will definitely get one. Jumbo. Uh-oh, the secret's out. Jumbo Fitz says, we picked the diapers up at Walmart, LL. So you didn't have extra diapers. You were enough to get me diapers for my kid, and you didn't even have them. That was still super nice, though. Eric Drinks Water says, the more I hear about people moving up on the list, the more I believe in the cabal. Or in the cabal. Blasty with a great comment. Alright, guys. Listen. I did it. Kind of made it to the bottom of the chat. This was a great weekend. There's a lot of great people in this hobby. I am super bullish on this hobby. I am so reinvigorated in this hobby. There's so much I want to do. I damn near can't see like any reason why I want to leave. Making content is just something I need to push myself to do way more, and like I got all the reasons now. I want to highlight people on this channel. I want to use whatever small platform I have to highlight people. I think the best part of this hobby and is the future, and I think if we work together, if we work as a group, if we don't, do shady things, if you're not a shitty person, I think the history of this hobby, the future of this hobby is the future is so bright. And the thing is in a way we control our own destinies. And from where this hobby is today, from 3 years ago, the 5 years ago, the 10 years ago, to where it's going to be from today, the 3 years, the 5 years, to 10 years into the future, I'm so excited about that. And it's a cliche to say, it's not just about the cards, it's about the friends you make along the way. Is that the most cliche line in the history of the world? Probably. But is there a shred of truth to that too? Yeah. It's not just about the cards. It is about the friends you make along the way, and whatever. Cliche or not, it is what it is. But if I can meet so many people just in a weekend, I don't know. What does 5 years out look like? What's 10 years out look like? It looks crazy. But anyways, guys, as always, appreciate every single one of you guys. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you want a signed energy card, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. Other than that, as always, I'll catch you on the next video.